look at the situation in Ukraine. And I was in Ukraine, the last time I was there was about 6-7 weeks ago now, and I was really struck by the change over the 3 years of the conflict in the way in which the conflict is being fought, and the fact that drones, semi-autonomous and autonomous capability is absolutely at the front line now. And that gives me a real sense that what you're doing here is really relevant to what we're doing in Ukraine, but also really relevant to the way in which we need to be able to defend ourselves as we go forward.
This is my video update on this Friday afternoon, May the 2nd, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And today is the 2nd of May, which means that it is the day of the Odessa trade union's massacre that happened in 2014, May the 2nd. And when you understand what happened 11 years ago in Odessa, then you understand what is happening today with the conflict in Ukraine. 48 people trapped in the trade union's building and burned alive by Banderites cheering outside. So anyway, that is today, May the 2nd. Politico put out an article with the title, "Here We Go Again, How to Watch Romania's Do-Over Election Like a Pro. The presidential election day is almost upon us. This is what you need to know. Here we go again on my own." White Snake. Those were the days. Those were the days of good music. Anyway, here we go again. The gaslighting from Politico. We're having a do-over election. Russian TikTok interference is what they're saying in the article. And now we're just going to have a do-over. No big deal. This is Romania, everybody. No big deal. It's a do-over because of the Chinese social media app TikTok Russian election meddling, which was completely debunked by Romanian media. But they're still going with that narrative, Politico. Yeah, Romania taking EU journalists from the great country of Ireland who traveled to Romania to cover the elections, the do-over elections. And what does Romania do? They take the journalist, they interrogate him, and they expel him. European values, everybody. European values. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about from yesterday. EU values. And it's Putin that treats journalists poorly. It's Putin that treats journalists poorly. Not the European Union. Freedom of speech, human rights. So it looks like Germany is getting ready to cancel AfD. That's coming. That is coming. Politico put out an article today. Well, Politico is coming out with some good articles today. Their article says AfD is officially a right-wing extremist group. Germany's intel agency says. The intel agency says. Then you know it's correct if the German intel agency says so. What is Politico saying here? The classification opens the door to deeper surveillance and reignites a debate over whether the far-right party should be banned. All right, so the AfD is obviously being surveilled. That's obvious. All of the The top level officials at the AfD are under heavy surveillance, and they're probably going to go under even more heavy surveillance. And yeah, this opens the door for perhaps banning the party, according to Politico and according to German intel. Ban the party, ban the AfD. Why do you have to ban the AfD? To save democracy, everybody. Come on, man. Jeez. You want to save democracy, you have to start banning parties. That's how it goes, man. So today we have local elections in the UK. I don't know how important the local elections are. I've read some analysts say that they're important. I've read other analysis which says that they're not important at all. I don't know. I have to ask Alexander. Actually, we're going to do a show on the Duran. Probably on Monday, we'll record a show on the Duran dedicated to the local elections in the UK. But the early results show that 008 Stammer and his Labour Party is getting completely smashed. Completely smashed. And Reform is the dominant party. Reform is number one. That's the way it looks. The Conservatives aren't doing much better, but Labour is just getting completely pummeled. Elections in Australia tomorrow as well. From everything I've read with regards to the elections in Australia, it's all about bad choices. Basically, the Australian people have a bunch of bad choices to make tomorrow. Kind of like the UK and Canada, the recent elections in Canada. Who do I choose? Bad or worse? Or even worse? Which one do I choose? Anyway, we'll be covering the results of the elections in Australia probably tomorrow or Sunday, depending on when we get the results. I think the results in Australia come out pretty quick, even same day, from what I understand. So a lot of elections going on. And then you have the Romanian DoOver elections as well. So yesterday we got the big news that Mike Waltz, well, at first it was reported that he was fired. That's what Fox News was reporting. And then Trump posted on Truth, Truth Social, that Mike Waltz is going to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. A position that neocon Nikki Haley once held. And now we're going to have neocon Mike Waltz. Are you a neocon? Ambassador to the United Nations. Hey, buddy. You're watching the videos, huh? You see? Limassol cats. They also want to listen to the news. All right. Neocon Mike Waltz will be the U.S. ambassador to the UN. At first, everyone said he was fired, but Trump decided, you know what? It's probably not a good look if I fire the NSA guy so early in my presidency. 100 days into my presidency, and I'm already firing a top-level official. Probably not good, so let's spin this as the ambassador to the UN. Let's put him as ambassador to the UN. The UN for the Trump administration is not important. He doesn't care about the United Nations. And so for him, I guess he saw it as a way out of the Mike Waltz mess. And that's what it was, the Mike Waltz mess. We had the Signal chat scandal with the Atlantic journalist. There are reports that Waltz was in a fight with his chief of staff, Susie Wiles. They did not get along, and she's very powerful. My understanding of Wiles is that she is super duper uber powerful in DC. And the New York Times was reporting that Waltz was considered way too hawkish for the Trump administration. How about that? He was considered way too hawkish. So he wasn't fitting in with the rest of the Trump administration. That's what the New York Times is saying. He was way too hawkish. He is hawkish. He's absolutely hawkish. But I don't know, is he way too hawkish? That doesn't feel right. But anyway, that's what the New York Times was reporting. So you send him to the UN, you exile him to the United Nations because Trump doesn't care that much about the United Nations. So a lot of people are starting to wonder who is going to head up the NSA. Rubio is going to take care of it in the interim. But there are some thoughts which say that Rubio is going to shift over to NSA. That will leave the Secretary of State position open, and then Witkoff will take that. But Witkoff has put out a statement that says that he's not interested in, I believe his statement was that he's not interested in taking over for Waltz. And that's a position that will not need a confirmation. Secretary of State will need Congress to confirm, the Senate to confirm that position. So Witkoff would have a hard time getting to head the State Department. But he could take over the NSA, but he said he doesn't want the NSA. So there was thinking saying Rubio to NSA, Witkoff to Department of State. We'll see. Right now, it appears as if Witkoff is not too interested in that. He likes being he's fine being the envoy to handle all of the various international crises that are around. There are some people saying Kellogg. Kellogg at NSA? Oh boy. No, I don't see that. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I doubt that will happen. But you know what? Waltz not being part of the core Trump cabinet does weaken Kellogg's position because Kellogg is also an uber neocon hawk. Super pro Elensky, super pro Ukraine. Waltz was also super pro Elensky, super pro Ukraine. So with Waltz gone, Kellogg has been weakened. You see, every day the news is up and down, up and down. Yesterday it seemed, oh man, Trump, what are you doing? Now it's, okay, good move, getting rid of Waltz. You got rid of a very hawkish neocon member of the team. And now Kellogg has been weakened. So maybe things can start to look up for peace in Ukraine, perhaps. Waltz did not want to negotiate with Russia. He did not want a settlement in Ukraine. So that is the news coming out of the Trump White House. Who do you think is going to take over for Waltz? Or do you think that Rubio is going to go to NSA and someone else will become Secretary of State? How about Lindsey Graham, Secretary of State? The Bone Crusher. That's Lindsey Graham's new nickname, by the way, the Bone Crusher. It's a good, WWF wrestling name. In this corner, weighing in at 90 pounds, Bone Crusher, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, the Bone Crusher Graham. Oh, man. What do you guys think? How are things going to shake out in the Trump White House? I think Rubio's going to stay as Secretary of State, and NSA, it doesn't need confirmation, so Trump can think a bit outside of the box for that position. I don't know. Maybe he'll bring back Bolton. Doubt it. No, it's not going to happen either. I'm joking around. Get serious, Alex. Who could it be? Who is going to take over? I don't know. I really don't know. I would definitely like to see Witkoff have a cabinet position because I think he needs the support. God knows he's doing everything when it comes to foreign policy. He's all over the place, traveling everywhere, negotiating with everybody. He would definitely benefit from having some support. But we'll see. I don't know. I really don't know how this is going to work out, who Trump is going to pick. So let's do an update. Check out the jet ski. Let's do an update on, a very quick update on the minerals deal. Yesterday in my video, when I was talking about the minerals deal, which is really not a minerals deal, it's an investment fund deal. Yesterday, I did not mention that there are no security guarantees from the U.S. to Ukraine. So I just want to mention that. Ukraine and Elensky did not get security guarantees, which was the number one thing that Elensky was looking to get. So the number one thing that he was looking to get, he did not get. Everything else, he pretty much got a lot of things that benefit Ukraine or benefit him and his producers and script writers. But we have had the agreement published by Ukraine officials and members of the Ukraine parliament, but only one document was published. 3 documents appear to have been signed. One of them was published yesterday, and the other 2 have not been, but the main document was not published yesterday. The agreement, it's the agreement that was published yesterday, but the agreement, when you go through it and read it, it's not a long document, just a couple of pages. When you go through and read it, you come to understand that the main document is the LP agreement, the limited partnership agreement. That is the main document that has not been published, but it probably will be published in a couple of days. But that limited partnership agreement pretty much outlines the entire partnership between the U.S. and Ukraine, which is very much an investment partnership. It's an investment fund. It's not a minerals deal. This is an investment agreement, plain and simple. So the LP agreement is the document that we are going to be waiting for. And in my video update from yesterday, also on the Duran update where we discussed the minerals deal, we said that it was capped at 10 years. This is wrong. This is a mistake. When you go through, not the document, the agreement that was published, that we have online, not the LP agreement, the general outline agreement that was published by Ukrainian officials, has in the termination clause, it has no date of termination. It just says that the parties can terminate. That's all it says. The parties can terminate the agreement. It doesn't even say that both parties are needed or only one party is needed in order to terminate the agreement. It doesn't say that. It just says the parties can terminate the agreement. It just kind of leaves it open-ended. That's the termination clause. Not much of a termination clause, to be quite honest. But it's not capped at 10 years. From a post from the Ukraine official that signed the agreement, I believe she is the economy minister, Yulia Sviridenko. I know I'm mispronouncing her name, but she posted on X. This is not in the agreement that was published. I just want to make sure I say that. And we're waiting for the LP agreement. Yes, I'm repeating myself, but I just want to be clear so I don't make any mistakes here. She posted on X, we expect that for the first 10 years, fund profits and revenues will not be distributed, but instead reinvested into Ukraine, into new projects or reconstruction. These terms will be subject to further discussion. So in the agreement that I read, it did not mention this. We're waiting for the LP agreement. Maybe it mentions this 10-year clause in the LP agreement. But the person that signed the document on behalf of the Ukraine regime, she says we expect that for the first 10 years, fund profits and revenues will not be distributed, but instead reinvested into Ukraine, into new projects or reconstruction. These terms will be subject to further discussion. So you know what's going to happen? Here's how I see it. Okay, so for 10 years, the US and Ukraine are going to split the revenue 50-50. Okay, that's in the agreement. 50-50. All the revenue in this investment fund will get split. Revenue that Ukraine will put into this investment fund comes from oil and gas and resources. Revenue that the U.S. puts into this investment fund will either be a direct investment, the U.S. putting money directly into this fund, or will come in the form of weapons sales. So the U.S. gives weapons to Ukraine, and it says this weapon cost $10. This gun cost $10. So that's the equivalent of $10 in this investment fund. You take the weapon, but we'll consider it $10 in the investment fund on behalf of the U.S. So for the first 10 years, all the money that goes into this fund will remain in Ukraine. After 10 years, according to this post on X, after 10 years, then the money in this fund gets distributed. 50% of what's in the fund goes to the U.S., and 50% of what's in this fund goes to Ukraine. I'm simplifying it, but we don't really have much to go on, to be quite honest. But that's the way it looks. So basically, what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen, is that Ukraine is going to buy weapons from the U.S. The U.S. is going to sell weapons to Ukraine at a certain price, certain prices. And that amount is going to be put into the investment fund. That's going to be a U.S. contribution. Ukraine is going to contribute into the fund with the sale of oil and gas. For 10 years, the money stays in Ukraine, and 10 years, the money disappears. Right? It's going to stay in Ukraine, man. We can trust that money is going to be reinvested in Ukraine and is going to be very safe, right? And it's going to be completely audited and accounted for. Oh, man. I think Besant put together a good Wall Street type of agreement where a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. And you know what they said? They said, let's just keep it in Ukraine for 10 years. Better to keep it in Ukraine than bring it to the U.S. where it could be audited and people could start asking questions about the revenue from this agreement. Let's just keep it in Ukraine. Better to keep it there. We'll benefit more if it's in Ukraine. I'm sure the oligarchs in Ukraine also agree with this. I'm sure the Elensky regime also agrees with this. Keep it there for 10 years. The money just piles up. The money is allegedly going to be reinvested in Ukraine. But I mean, who are we kidding, everybody? Who are we freaking kidding? Even the Limassol cat is saying, man, that money, 10 years in Ukraine, come on, man. Come on, everybody. Medvedev understands that this is a grift. Medved said that Trump has finally broken the Kiev regime into paying for American aid with minerals. Medvedev, who currently serves as the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, said in a Telegram post on Thursday, now military supplies will have to be paid for with the national wealth of a disappearing country. Yeah, Medvedev is on to the grift. He's on to what's going on here. Just keep the money in Ukraine. Just keep it there. Don't bring it to the U.S., man. Are you guys crazy? Just keep it there for 10 years. We're all good. Right? Right. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to take weapons and just completely overprice them, right? There are reports that they're going to be sending F-16s, F-16s that are useless, that are sitting in the junkyard, and they're going to be sending the F-16s to Ukraine for parts and components and stuff like that. So they're just going to do they're going to do these types of tricks. Here's an F-16. I don't know. Here's an F-16 wing. Here's the wing of the F-16. That's $2 billion. Take it. Okay. $2 billion in the investment fund. Now put $2 billion of oil and gas revenue in that fund. All right. I've talked too much about this. Enough. Over. No more minerals deal. J.D. Vance, he gave an interview to Fox News. And he said that the U.S. is ready to spend another 100 days on Russia-Ukraine peace. Another 100 days, another 100 days. We've got this first step, the vice president said, reflecting on the first 100 days of Donald Trump's second term. We got the peace proposal out there and issued, and we're going to work very hard over the next 100 days to try and bring these guys together. The mediator. The United States is the mediator. Tammy Bruce of the State Department, she put out a message yesterday saying the U.S. is not going to be the mediator. She said the U.S. is not, the State Department is not going to get on planes, run around and try to mediate this conflict. That's not what we're about. Russia, Ukraine, the thinking, the message that they're putting out is that they need to sit down and talk. Which is actually what Lavrov and Putin, that's what they've been messaging. Sit down and talk, but with no preconditions. And Ukraine is saying unconditional ceasefire, then maybe we'll talk. But first, let's have a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, and then maybe we'll sit down with you. That's how far apart both sides are. Ukraine wants the unconditional ceasefire. Europe wants the unconditional ceasefire. Kellogg wants the unconditional ceasefire. And the freeze, Russia's saying no. But we'll definitely sit down with Ukraine. We will talk to Ukraine. We'll even sit down with the Green Goblin. Okay, fine. We'll sit down with the Green Goblin, even though he's illegitimate for us. But we'll sit down with him, but no preconditions. And Vance is saying another 100 days. Here we go. Another 100 days to try and mediate Project Ukraine. Rubio was on Hannity yesterday, and Rubio said that Ukraine is never going to get to its 2014 borders. They're never going to be able to get the territory back and to capture Crimea. But he also said that Russia's never going to be able to advance and capture all of Ukraine. It was never Russia's goal to capture all of Ukraine. But anyway, Rubio said that as well. And then he said this is Biden's war. He said this is Biden's war. We're just trying to fix this mess. That's pretty much what Rubio told Hannity. 100 days. You finish your 100 days, just walk away, man. Just walk away. But they're not going to walk away. Or maybe the Trump administration will walk away. I don't know. Vance is saying another 100 days. State Department is saying we're not going to mediate, even though we're a party to the war. We're not going to mediate between both sides, okay? We've gone over this many times. But perhaps the solution is going to be what we discussed on the Duran a couple of weeks ago. I also talked about it a couple of weeks ago, which is that Trump's going to go right down the middle. He's going to blame Ukraine. He's going to blame Russia. He's going to kind of walk away in the sense that there's not going to be much talk about Project Ukraine. But weapons are going to be sold. They're not going to be given. They're going to be sold. Just like the U.S. sells weapons to other conflict areas, they'll sell a ton of weapons to Project Ukraine or to the Europeans, to the Elensky regime, whatever. If the Europeans buy weapons, then the Europeans are going to buy weapons from the U.S. and they'll take the weapons and hand them over to Elensky. Anyway, that might be the end result to all of this. 1 foot out of Project Ukraine, 1 foot in Project Ukraine. That could probably be the end result. So Trump, he posted on Truth Social a threat. Anyone that purchases Iranian oil will face, did he put a number? Let me see, did he put a number of on the sanctions, the secondary sanctions. Doesn't look like it. Let me get his post. Alert. All purchases of Iranian oil or petrochemical products must stop now. Any country or person who buys any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to immediately secondary sanctions. They will not be allowed to do business with the United States of America in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so it's not 500% oil tariffs that Graham was talking about with Russia. Trump isn't putting a number on it. He's just saying that you will be banned from doing business in the United States, period. No more business in the United States. The United States is closed to you if you purchase Iranian oil. And you know which country purchases about 80% of Iranian oil? Take a wild guess at the country that purchases 80% of Iran's oil. Just take a wild guess. China, that's right. China. So that's who this is directed at, China. Basically, the United States is demanding that China stop buying Iranian oil. And of course, China's going to agree to this, right? No. China's not going to agree to this, obviously. Quite a threat from U.S. President Trump. Trump also posted on Truth Social that the U.S. is going to have, am I reading this right? They're going to have parades celebrating World War I and World War II. The U.S. victories in World War I and in World War II. According to Trump, this is what he posted on Truth Social. Many of our allies and friends are celebrating May 8th as Victory Day, but we did more than any other country by far in producing a victorious result on World War II. I am hereby renaming May 8th as Victory Day for World War II and November 11th as Victory Day for World War I. We won both wars. Nobody was close to us in terms of strength, bravery, or military brilliance. But we never celebrate anything. That's because we don't have leaders anymore that know how to do so. We are going to start celebrating our victories again. Yeah, I don't think they liked that message too much. Yeah, there's going to be people that, obviously, everyone that knows about World War II is going to take issue with this post, but let's move on. That's a good segue into clown world territory. Enough Truth Social posts. So, Elensky has sanctioned his one-time BFF, his best buddy, his co-star in many TV shows, Arestovich, who was in his government. He has now been sanctioned by Elensky. And the reason he's been sanctioned is because Arestovich is talking bad about the Green Goblin. He's the Green Goblin's nemesis, Arestovich. I think he's living somewhere in the U.S. I want to say New York or somewhere like that, or Miami, I don't know. But he's not in Ukraine. I don't think he's in Ukraine. If he's in Ukraine, he better get out. But yeah, he's been sanctioned by the Green Goblin because, you know, democracy and human rights. That's what Ukraine is all about. Allowing political parties to an opposition to speak freely. That's what Ukraine is all about, right? That's what they're telling us Elensky's all about. He's Churchill. And everyone knows that Churchill, he would sanction his opposition. He would arrest his opposition, like Elensky is going after Poroshenko. I believe he's arrested Poroshenko, hasn't he? Poroshenko's definitely been sanctioned. I believe he has been arrested. I don't know if he's been released, but Poroshenko is opposition to become president of Ukraine. He wants to become president of Ukraine again. Arestovich has definitely not hidden his desire to become president of Ukraine. And so now he has been sanctioned by Elensky. The democracy, the thriving democracy that is Ukraine. You know, Ukraine is very, very much aligned with the EU, actually. Everything that the EU is doing when it comes to elections and democracy, Ukraine does the same thing. And everything that Ukraine does, the EU does. I once said it a long time ago, 3 years ago, I said it. The longer this war goes on, I said, the longer this goes on, I said, the worse it's going to be for the collective West. That's what I said. The slower this war goes, the worse it's going to be for the collective West. And I also said, the longer this goes on, the more the collective West becomes Ukraine, and the more Ukraine becomes the collective West. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So yeah, you know, Ukraine is definitely aligned with the European Union when it comes to elections and political parties and political opposition. Absolutely aligned. Sanction them, throw them in prison. So that's the one clown world. The Green Goblin's nemesis, Arestovich. How about this post on X from Megatron? President Trump says that Scott Bessent is negotiating with about 200 countries on tariffs. There are 195 countries in the world. Come on, Megatron. It's Annalena Baerbock math. Come on, man. Negotiating with 200 countries. Annalena Baerbock says negotiating 200 countries, but there's only 195 countries in the world. Let's see, 195 countries, but we're negotiating with 200 countries. Something's not right. Annalena, man. What else? Do we have another clown world? Or can I wrap this video up? Let's see. Kamala is back. Kamala. Whatever. She's back. She gave her first official speech yesterday, and it was a doozy. It was awesome. Kamala was in rare form. She talked about Trump chaos, and not to be duped by thinking that this is just chaos, that this is a plan. This is all planned. It's not chaos, she said. This is all planned, and what we are witnessing is a high velocity event where a vessel is being used for the swift implementation for an agenda that has been decades in the making. Velocity. A velocity event. A high velocity event. The vessel is Trump, right? And this has been decades in the making. It's all a plan, a globalist plan, a Klaus Schwab plan that has been decades in the making, says Kamala Harris, because she's the ultimate outsider, right? She was the outsider candidate. Trump was the vessel candidate. Let me play you the video of Kamala Harris. She's back. She's better than ever. I will leave you the Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odysee, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. 15% off all merchandise on the Duran shop. A link is in the description box down below. Take care.
But friends, please let us not be duped into thinking everything is chaos. I know it may feel that way, but understand what we are in fact witnessing is a high velocity event where a vessel is being used for the swift implementation of an agenda that has been decades in the making.